So one of the main conclusions of our work is that we do think there is a link between the youth demography and youth employment, between youth bulges and youth employment. It's not an enormous link. We don't think it's the most important component of youth unemployment by any means. And it doesn't really explain, if you said why do some countries have higher youth unemployment than others in the current period. Differences in youth demography are not the most important component. I would put much bigger emphasis on labor market flexibility, good education systems, and so on. So we don't want to overstate the demographic component of youth employment. Nonetheless, we think we have managed to show that there is a relationship. It's statistically fairly substantial. And it does suggest that when youth populations are growing faster, youth unemployment tends to increase. We think that's important in understanding the experience of the last 20 or 30 years, just looking backwards. So many countries have benefited from the fact that their youth populations have slowed down. They grew very fast in the 70s and 80s, and they've been slowing down, and now the absolute numbers are even declining. That's important to understand what's been happening to youth unemployment in these countries. And we think it's important looking forward because especially Sub-Saharan Africa is going to continue to have high growth of the youth population. And we think it's important for governments to think about that and plan, and how are they going to be able to absorb these young people. Now, in thinking about that, as I said, in the next 20 years, Sub-Saharan Africa is going to need over 1 million jobs a month to keep the employment rates at the current levels. There's nothing that can be done about that. Those people are already born. That's going to happen. So that's a challenge that needs to be met. And it's going to need to be met through education, through having flexible labor markets, or having good economic policy, all the things that are good for economies to do.